Wynn to do this portion of the service. But before we have our dedication, I wanted to give April a moment to share a little bit about the work of the National Benevolent Association. One of the line items on our budget is a contribution to what's called the Disciples Mission Fund. And that's a general fund at the national level of our church that is allocated out to what we call the general units of the church. We've all heard of Week of Compassion, which supports both national and global disaster recovery and human relief efforts. We have the Council on Christian Unity, we have the Disciples Home Missions, we have global missions, we have what's called the Hope Partnership, which focuses on leadership development and works with local pastors to plant new churches and develop leaders to plant new churches. We have, in part of what's Hope, the Board of Church Extension. We got a small loan from Church Extension to put in our new baseboard heating system. So there are lots of things that happen at the general level of our church, even though we are independent, autonomous congregations and regions. And since April was in town, I thought it might be good for you to hear a little bit from her about the work that NBA does so that we can better understand how the money that we send to DMF to support us all. And for us, recently, in the case of Church Extension, has actually been a source of support to us. We all hear about the good work that Week of Compassion and Homeland Missions does, supporting congregations, global ministries in which we partner with United Church of Christ, but not all of us know a little bit about NBA. So April, if you take this moment to come and share, and then we'll move into our dedication.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. If I stand here like Pastor, can you hear me, or would you like me on the mic?
You're fine.
Good.
Excellent. Thank you. Good morning, and again, my name is April Luton. I do serve the National Benevolent Association, your health and social services general ministry of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. I stand before you also bringing greetings from our president, his name is Mark Anderson, our board of trustees, and our staff, as well as over 40 different health and social service disciples-related ministries. So it's not just me and my tiny self. Imagine all of the faces behind me. And I did want to first say thank you to Pastor Terry for letting me come and first and foremost be in worship with you all. I visited here before a number of years ago when I was in school, and I knew how impressive and beautiful your sanctuary is, but I didn't get the opportunity to worship. So today, I'm glad to be in worship. But then I also want to just say thank you, as Pastor Terry did reference. You do give very generously to Disciples Mission Fund. It is not just some ambiguous fund that goes to some place and it doesn't have any impact or effect. You do indeed support so many ministries. I brought materials so that you could read some about the materials. You can even have our website address, which has videos. We have social media, for those of you who like social media. I see some nodding. And so on the table in your fellowship is our brochure, as well as a poster about a program for young adults that we feature. And for those of you who don't like to read at all, but maybe you just want something to remember us, I brought chip clips that are also magnets for your future. Indeed, I just want to say your gifts are the hands, the feet, the hearts, and the prayers for everyone across the life of the Disciples Church that's doing health and social service ministries. What does that mean? It means that you're supporting Malele and James in Portland, Oregon with Gomer's House. Gomer's House is a ministry that grew out of Trees of Righteousness Christian Church, and Gomer's House provides housing for those who are coming out of addiction, and they need affordable and safe places to live. You support Dean and his team in the state of Kentucky, and I do mean the state of Kentucky. Dean and his team, what they do is they go out and not only train disciples churches, but Presbyterians, United Methodists, our ecumenical sisters and brothers, as congregations prepare to welcome women and men coming out of incarceration. For those of you who know when you're coming out of prison and jail, you really need a team of support. You need a team of support to help you find a new place to live. You need teams of support to help you find maybe employment. You need teams of support in those late nights when you just need to pick up the phone and have someone to speak with. You are supporting Dean and his team down in Kentucky. Their ministry is called Mission Behind Bars and Beyond. You also are supporting, oh goodness, see, I said there's 40. There's so many names and individuals that I can name. I welcome you to learn more about them, not only through our materials, but also through our website. One of the programs I would feature, because I do see some young people in the crowd, and those of you who do know young people in your lives, this is our 3rd year of supporting young disciples of Christ, young, ages 21 to 30. And what they do is they say yes to 10 months of service in simple living. So you have currently 22 young disciples across the country. They're in places like Tucson, Arizona. They're in Los Angeles. They're in St. Louis. They're in Manaway, Ohio. And they're working 4 days a week with a health and social service nonprofit, learning what does it mean to do direct care and direct service. And then they are working with a local disciples church, sometimes 4 disciples church in a given region, and they support that worshiping community. They do that for 10 months. We give them a stipend of, I think something around $400. And they live simply, and they do so in community with others to support that work as well. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. Your gifts make a difference. I do just want to say, I looked up, you're giving to Easter Offering, which is, I know there's so many complicated things related to Disciples Mission Fund, but Easter Offering supports the general ministries, so NBA and all the ministries that Pastor Terry talked about. Easter Offering, you just took up Reconciliation Ministries Offering for the work of anti-racism and reconciliation. This coming Thanksgiving is the special offering that supports higher education in our Disciples Church. So the fact that Pastor Danielle and Pastor Terry and Pastor I and others who may be ordained in the communities that I don't know about, those scholarship dollars do make a tremendous difference. So thank you on behalf of so many. It is a blessing, and I pray blessings on you and the ministries that you are doing here in this place. Thank you.
NBA is also now engaged in a project with a young woman who is a psychologist and social worker, not a psychologist, she's a social worker. What's her name? Right. And it's like pastoral self-care. And I'm like so excited. Angela. Yes. I'm so excited about this. We're doing it all different, and we have a wonderful connection with some folks at National Convocation, but that work is really important. Some assisted living and senior living facilities that you may have heard of. NBA has a few of those too, so thanks for that. This church is a very generous church. Always has been, and I know always will be. And during my tenure here, we have seen many souls who have gone on to be with the Lord. People whose heart and soul, as well as their time and energy, were invested in the ministry of this church. People like Steve and Kathy Krug. When I came to this church initially as interim, Kathy was the chair of the elders. Steve was the devoted deacon. It's hard sometimes still not to see him up at that table, and he was always preparing that song, "My Life Is in You, Lord." I always think of Steve. He said to me one day, that song just makes me want to do a moonwalk. And Kathy said, "Don't you dare." That wonderful family. Al Howard, whom I met when we funeralized his wife. They had been long-time members of this church, came back in his elder years, and used to sit in his wheelchair there at the end in his Cubs hat. And he would be so excited. I'm sure he's cheering in heaven. He was always paying attention. Sometimes I wondered whether he could hear very well, but he would always have something to say to me about the sermon afterwards that let me know that he had been paying attention. And our beloved Diana Gleitman, who passed away a little over a year ago, she and her husband, Jim, were so generous to this church. Diana was involved in everything that she could be involved with, despite a chronic health condition. her heart. She was very visible in every mission project that we did. She loved the back to school fair. She was here for annual meeting, the Thanksgiving festival, anything that she could do, Diana was here. Diana was the calmest, sweetest, warmest spirit. We had a chance to do a dinner circle where Walter and I got to meet Diana and Jim, and one of the great regrets is that we didn't have more time for the four of us to spend more time together. Beautiful couple, wonderful hearts, wonderful spirits. So all of these spirits are still with us as we carry them in our memory, and so many people gave money in honor of these people, and the families had asked that as part of memorializing their loved ones, that money would be given to First Christian Church. Your board, elders, deacons thought long and hard about what we might do to find some very tangible way to remember them, something that would leave a real mark and always remind us of those particular souls. And so the light ballers that you see on the edge of the parking lot, it's really great to see them at night because they're better technology. They have really brightened up the parking lot, and they also create these wonderful pools of light on the edge of the sidewalk. And Kathy Chandler, another soul who's gone on, whose family was part of a two-church family. She was the second generation of the two-church family. Her father, Lanny Bell, was a charter member. Her mother, Harriet Bell, was a member of St. Joseph Catholic Church. They raised their daughters here and there. Kathy met and married Alan Chandler, who was a member here. Their daughters, Rachel and Allison, were raised here and there and are still very active. And so monies that were given for Kathy were also part of that collection, and we have a special painting that they want to give. I wanted to share some words from Psalm 43, which speaks of the power of light. Many of you know that when the Twin Towers fell in New York, long before the buildings were rebuilt, they put in huge lamps that simply shot very strong beams of light upward. Throughout the Bible, we see images of God's power being manifest, His love being manifest through light, but also hope being an important part of that symbol of light. The first words that we have in Genesis, God says, "Let there be light." And so we hope that as you come onto our campus in the evenings and see those lights, that you'll think of Steve and Kathy and Diana and Al and Kathy. We hope that you will remember them, that you will always remember the warm memories that we have for them, and that you'll remember that they, more than anything, would want not only their memories to continue, but the work of this church to continue. I just want to read Psalm 43, a few verses 3 through 5. It says, "Oh, send out your light and your truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me to your holy hill and to your dwelling. And then I will go to the altar of God, to God my exceeding joy, and I will praise you with the harp, O God, my God." Light, it can lead us to God. It can fill us with His presence. It symbolizes hope. It symbolizes the power of light over darkness. But more importantly, it symbolizes the everlasting presence of God. So we're going to be having a plaque that will be put together, Karen Johns is working on, so that we can hang something tangibly inside the building with those names. But would you pray with me briefly as we consider this? Yes. Oh, that's right. This is a painting that has been in the Bell and Chandler families. You recognize what this is? The Lord's Supper. And the board decided that perhaps one of the best places to put it would be in the annex over the fireplace. There's a painting that's there now, but we spend a lot of time in that room. And we spend a lot of time, and given the significance of the Lord's Supper to the disciples' tradition, it's very appropriate that a rendering of the Lord's table would hang. So thank you, Alan and Rachel and Allison, for wanting this to become a part of our church. And we're going to have another little plaque that will indicate who gave this. But thank you for sharing this with us and for wanting us to have this in memory of your mom. She loved us so well. Kathy also, we don't have any of the banners up right now that she made, but at different parts of our liturgical season, you will see pyramids both on the communion table and on the wall that she created. The last one she did were for our 50th anniversary in 2014. So we'll put this here. You can see it a little after service. And we'll have it installed in the conference room over in the annex. And so now, would you pray with me? Gracious God, precious memories, how they linger. We thank you so much as we celebrate All Saints' Day. We are so grateful for the saints that have passed through this congregation, those who have touched our lives. For Steve Krug and Kathy Krug, for Al Haug, for Diana Gleichman, for Kathy Chandler. Names and faces and voices that still fill our hearts with joyous memories. We miss them all so much, and yet we know that they are with you. Help us always to remember that you gave them to us for a time, for a purpose, that they live within us to inspire us and encourage us to continue to do your work. Thank you for those who gave in their memory, that their memories might continue on. Thank you for lights which will shine brightly, not only leading a path to this building, but leading a path to you. Lead us to your holy hill, O God, and there we will worship you. Thank you for the light that will continue to shine in our hearts because of these dear departed saints. We give you thanks, O God. We give you thanks. It's in Jesus' name that we pray.